Welcome to the Zachrilege cast, Lexi. You're all back on the show. Originally on the show, episode, I think. Okay, we're gonna have an echo. It sounds like.
Uh-oh.
Is that me? Oh God, I did it on my own end. That's terrible. It's very unprofessional. 3, 2, 1. Just kidding. Welcome to the Zachrilege cast, Lexi Whittenburg. You're back on the show. We have sexy Brian in the background if you just want the eye candy, and that's something for you who like the video, who want to sell the video. It's hilarious that every 20th episode I'm like, oh, I left the actual live feed of the podcast open and it starts playing, and that's what happens. So we're going to do, these are actually the out of context quotes I did the first time you're on, but I figure why not doing them again because they're amazing. So this is from the original Scenic City Skeptics, and these are Lexi quotes. Balls deep in a squealing pig. Women should stay at home. The only thing I can say about the Christian God is he's an asshole.
They're pretty good, yeah.
Especially the balls deep in a squealing pig thing. That's pretty spot on.
Yeah, and I know exactly where it's from, too.
And from Brian, since he's hanging out in the background, we have made it this far, and I am surprised. I can deal with an ass kicking. Every time you touch yourself, Jesus is watching.
Oh, that one's a good one.
Man, I'm sure he's tired of it by now, though.
Yeah.
He's tired again. Just did this morning. So before we really get into tonight's show, I figure we might as well talk about an end. We got both of you on, and you were on episode 89 to discuss Scenic City Skeptics, but apparently there is no more Scenic City. Scenic City Skeptics. Do it with the finger wag. So why don't we do an impromptu kind of exit interview? So what made you two initially say, hey, let's do a podcast? It's easy.
Yeah.
Because he listened to them all the time. And he was actually really into cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he was like, oh, my God, we could totally do that because they're so funny and we're funny sometimes. And so that's why we started it.
Well, ours actually started as kind of a backup because me and one of my friends were going to start one. And, and
it didn't happen, yeah.
Yeah, we're like, it was going to be a while before we could get together and start it. And I was like, well, in the meantime, we should do one. And so that's how it started. So kind of by accident.
Can you talk about some of your favorite moments and guests from the show?
My favorite episode out of the entire thing was the one that we did with the kid's mom and stepdad, talking about co-parenting. It was 3 hours long by the time we cut everything down and edited it and everything, and it was still 3 hours long.
Was it a tough negotiation getting everybody on?
No, we just, whenever we were taking the kids back after our weekend, we just stayed and did a podcast with them. Because they were like, yeah, sure, whatever.
It was really emotional, too.
Yeah.
Is there a difference there in terms of religious belief on both sides?
Well, at the time, we had the whole spectrum. Their stepdad is Christian. Their mom is deist. I was agnostic at the time. And Brian, obviously, was full-on atheist. So we had the whole crew.
And the whole crew.
Yeah.
What made you decide that you wanted to end it?
Well, we never really decided to end it, but we just had a lot
of stuff going on. Because I had started a second job to help with our income at the time. And then I ended up losing my main job So I had to stick with that second job, and the hours were terrible. So I wasn't home until midnight most nights. And then we just never picked it back up after I finally got out of that place.
Yeah, that's about the time that I started having a lot more medical issues and just haven't had the energy.
Well, is this a forever goodbye? Will there be no more? Or are you going to have like a...
I don't think it's forever.
I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, I would love for us to be able to do it again. It's just a matter of, when a lot of the things that are going on just kind of chill out.
When it's not the same thing every week, since we did a lot of the, obviously like everybody else, every other podcast, we did the news and what was going on with, just religion and politics and stuff. And it was pretty much just the same thing all the time. So there wasn't really anything new to talk about unless, we just did some research and, picked a topic that wasn't really talked about a lot. But, I mean, we were lazy. And we just went with the news articles.
Well, there's always a lot of news, but it can get to be kind of the same thing, and it's hard. You really have to push. Like for me, it's always like I need to get a guest. So once I have a guest, I'm like, oh, now I have to research and get ready, and like then the show happens and it really works out. The weeks where I talk to myself, oh boy, it's just not right. I can do it. I just I don't think it's quite as good. But you were really in with the community. Like you did an entire conference in Chattanooga, Secular Saturday. So what was the experience like kind of being part of that? And what made you say, okay, we did that once and we're not doing it again?
It's a lot of work. Like
until
you do it, it's hard to understand just how frustrating it can be. Mm-hmm. And especially because we did it in 6 months from the idea until the day it happened, with 4 people planning it.
Yeah.
And
there was so much backlash from the community because of what the conference was supposed to be about. It was supposed to be about, no matter what your religion is, no matter what you believe in, about everybody coming together and working towards the same goal, instead of, somebody wanting to take credit or a group of people wanting to take credit to try to be better than somebody else. So we got a lot of backlash because of that. And we also got a lot of backlash from the venue we had it in, which was a church. Which, yeah, I get it. I understand, and a lot
partial responsibility for that because I was on the podcast panel where it was just a curse fest for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And the people running the soundboard were this old couple, and they were just like, ugh.
Yeah, it was the pastor, wasn't it?
No, it was just the
sound guy.
They never listened to, they didn't know that, yeah, we're going to go there.
Yeah, we didn't know you guys were going to go there. But, mostly Jen, wasn't it? No.
I think everybody equally cursed on that one. I'm trying to remember who all was on there. I know Tucker was on. And
Chris was on there.
Jen, and was Chris on there as well?
And, he was on that.
Plus we had the fake, like, Trump supporter in the front row as the question, and then it just went. It was already sideways, but it went completely upside down. I was like, wow, I'm at the main, like, part of the venue. This is pretty awesome. And then we just, and you see this in conferences, the mistake is every panel needs somebody like an adult in charge.
Yeah.
And we just, all 4 of us were like, oh, we're doing a panel. What are we going to talk about? Like 2 minutes before. Actually, as we were sitting down.
Yeah.
And that's why this year when we're doing the podcast panel, I'm like, no, I think I can moderate and let other people talk. That's what I do every week anyway. But we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but yeah, it was very difficult. Like I told you before we started, it's just one of those things that our area isn't ready for yet, to be honest. Because, Brian and I, we are very tolerant of a lot of things. Because, our families obviously are religious, and, they can respect us, we can respect them. And as long as, everybody can just get along for a minute, it doesn't have to be a debate every day, all the time, some people enjoy that, and that is all them. They can do what they want, but, it was supposed to be it's supposed to be for everybody to come together and as a community, because a lot of stuff has been happening. A lot of scary stuff has been happening. And it's just one of those things that people need to start working together as a community instead of breaking apart and trying to take responsibility or credit for everything that's done.
Yeah, I do feel like the spirit, and for us to say spirit is something, but behind Nanocon, which is coming up this weekend, is really about togetherness. Like, there really isn't, I don't think Patrick and the people putting this together are like, well, this is an atheist thing and it's just us. And I think a conference like ReasonCon was more like that, but this is like, no, anybody who wants to come and talk about stuff will talk about it.
Yeah.
But man, we can really turn ourselves. I think you have these phases in like the atheist community, like, we're atheists, we get along, and then you find out, oh crap, there's some assholes.
Yeah.
And just the worst side of people sometimes comes out. Like, sometimes you just want to rant and get it out there, and there are times when that works, like on a podcast, and the times when it might not work when you're sitting at church and they're kind of watching you and judging you, and any chance you had to like get positive feedback about atheists, like, oh, they aren't so bad, like, went out the window. Probably.
I think Bobby saved it with his.
Bobby was good, yeah.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Because that was the only thing that the sound booth guy was talking about afterwards. He was so impressed.
It was like he was talking to him.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, and I know you're drinking, I think, some kind of Diet Coke like contraption. I had my Dragon's Milk. I just poured my final.
Here's my Diet Coke.
This is the kind of beer you drink that has something called Malib, which is like something like some kind of nut. It's kind of got a cherry thing going for it. It's lighter color than I'm used to. It actually smells like a cherry pie. It's very nice. But that's
very nice.
That's what's helping me get through this. But this is about Lexi. This isn't about the two of you. This is about you. So can we talk about you're planning on doing a blog, doing like a solo project? So what's this all about?
Well, as you know, I'm unemployed. So I've been working on my writing. And I have kind of decided, because I'm still on the journey from Christianity to not that. So the podcast did help. It helped me, learn a lot of stuff, like the history of religion and where it all came from. And it helped me see a lot of different worldviews, political views, and understand different ways of seeing things. That's just another way of saying views. But
sometimes fewer words are better, sometimes not.
Yeah. But so I did enjoy I enjoyed it because of the episodes that we did solely about religion. So what I have done, and it's not up yet, but it'll be up soon, is I'm going to do a blog, and it's called Living Godless Blog. And basically, it's just going to be a bunch of blog posts of research that I've done. So I'm trying to make it to where it's not all opinion. I want to do research, and I want to have credible sources that I find my information from. And I want to share that with other people too, because, I'm better with expressing myself in writing than I am through a podcast anyway, because I get heated. I do. I get very emotional and opinionated, and I want to try to keep that out of it, because I also want it to be kind of an educational thing for me and for anybody else who's reading it. But I'll also have a place on there for my other writing projects. So I'm actually almost done with a book of short stories, which will be posted on Amazon for sale. But until that is done, then, so all that will be posted on there along with the blog and maybe some other stuff. I don't know, but writing's my thing, so it'll probably just be those.
Well, when you're in Nashville, make sure to say hi to Casper Rigsby, because he's done a lot of self-published books. And he initially was working through Atheist Republic, but now he's doing it himself. So
you have to introduce me.
Because he does like kind of short, like his books are like 60 pages each. They're relatively short, but for people who want to read something that's a quick read.
Yeah. Not
me who's reading Game of Thrones books, you want something short, he's got that out there, and there's a bunch of that. So that's good. Yeah, the chat room's asking to take the battery out of the smoke detector.
Oh, I didn't even realize it was going off still.
There's no battery. There is no Zool. How's it go again? Yeah.
I'm gonna take that out. Oh, yeah.
Looks pretty chill right now.
I mean, I can, but
You can wear the blanket around you.
Wear like a toga.
Toga. I asked him to get up, but he's in his boxers.
Great out of context quote will always be, "It will be up soon." So we're about 20 minutes in, and we haven't really talked about Nanocon that much, but in a few days, Nanocon is happening. Nanocon 2019. Nanocon, the best, closest hope we have to match ReasonCon, and Jeannie has to drink during that because she says I talk about it too much. So you got added onto a panel. So how did that happen, and what panel will you be on?
Well, it happened when Marissa sent me a Facebook message and asked if I wanted to be on a panel. And I was like, sure, why not? What panel is it? And so she told me it was being queer and atheist in today's era. You're going to be shown in your boxers.
Woohoo! USA, USA. It's just some beefcake. It's all right. No big deal.
Yeah. But okay. Anyway, so yeah, it's.
You immediately just said yes. Did you even think about it, or
Yeah, I was like, sure. I mean, if you want me to. And I just said yeah.
Well, it's interesting to be on a show because this is the conversation that me blushing straight cis dude probably wouldn't have. But so you've kind of opened it up to say you're going to be on a podcast or be on a panel and say you're bisexual. So can you compare this to kind of coming out as atheist, like being bisexual, because you're not, what you're quote unquote raised to be? You've gone against that. And has it been a similar kind of journey for you?
Honestly, compared to initially coming out as atheist, it was actually easier because it came out a lot later. So I've already gotten to the point where I accept myself for who I am. And that was the hardest part, and so. And, like I told you before, it's not something that I just kind of announce to the world. But if somebody asks, then I'll give them an honest answer. And if they have any questions, then I'll answer any questions that they have about it. But, compared to how everything went down with my family and friends and everything, when I came out as atheist, I've pretty much already lost the people who would have given backlash on that as well, because it kind of goes hand in hand, I guess, when it comes to religion, because it's both about the same. So all the people who would have been upset or feared for my soul as an atheist they're already gone. They're no longer in my life. So it was pretty easy because it was the only people I have to tell are the people who already support me.
So you don't feel like you get any pushback then?
Well, I tried to become part of the local LGBTQ community in Chattanooga, but I was told that I wasn't real, I guess is the best way to go to explain that, because I'm engaged to a man and I'm in a relationship with a man. So to them, it's either you're with a woman or you're straight.
Yeah, that kind of in between part was kind of what bisexual is supposed to be in theory. But do you get the feeling like sometimes I hear when people say they're bisexual that it's like, oh, you're just waiting until you announce you're gay?
No, well, not for me anyway. I've heard that. But if that were the case, then, you know, Brian and I wouldn't be here 3.5 years down the road about to get married. You know, I mean, some people may do that. I don't know. They could be, you know, dating around, seeing who they are, but that's what everybody does anyway. You know, it's just part of figuring out who you are, but it's weird. It's really weird because everybody's different, obviously. So that's a hard question. Why'd you gotta ask that?
Yeah, interview people, you know. Do you feel like this is just too much pressure out there to fit into like a box? Because everybody's an individual. You've clearly seen that the question about religion is something that, you know, it's not for you. So why do you have to accept like a certain label? And then people who see the label will tell you what it means instead of you telling them what it means. So I don't know. It's do you feel like it's too much is put on when you say like you're bisexual, or you say you're gay, or you say you're straight, or you say anything? Even if you're an atheist, you know, you could still be like, well, I still have a little bit of a deist view.
Yeah, well, especially in the South, because that's all I know. You know, I've born and raised here, never left. So there's definitely a lot of pressure to fit one box. So there's not, you know, it's not the question of do you fit under a certain label, but do you fit under this one label that everybody should be under because it's how it's supposed to be in this area, you know? So everybody needs to be straight, cis, Christian people, you know? And I mean, and especially for people like me, because, you know, I don't have the Southern girl look. So that scares a lot of people away too. But also adding the fact that I'm atheist and bisexual, it's like I don't know. Yeah, it's just scary to a lot of people. Thankfully, where I'm at, it's becoming a lot easier to, for an individual to be an individual. A lot more acceptance is happening in Chattanooga, but that's just because the younger generation, my generation, is getting to the point where they're not going to keep their mouth shut anymore and do what mommy and daddy tells them. So that's cool. But labels are still a thing, and they're still frustrating because, you know, like you said, even though somebody may say they're an atheist but still have some kind of deist views or something that they can't just let go of. That's kind of where I am. I'm an agnostic atheist. So, you know, because I'm still learning. So I'm not going to claim one extreme or the other. I'm just kind of in the middle trying to figure it out. And I feel like that's what we just need to get rid of the labels anyway. Because people are just trying to figure it out, man. Just trying to figure life out. That sounded really hippie. You gotta figure it out, man.
No, it's good. I was wondering. I mean, it's very interesting as someone who's moved to the South. Like I've been in Atlanta since 2000, since '96. I've been here more than half my life. Although Atlanta's a weird, like, kind of the South, but kind of not, because it's a little bit like the northern capital of the South.
Yeah.
But there is this kind of want to have this cultural norm in the South. So what do you think of, like you mentioned, like what the Southern girl or woman is?
Mm-hmm.
What is that stereotype to you? And, you know, it's okay if you're, obviously you're not it, but I just wonder, what do you think it is? And do you think anyone actually is that? Or is it just some kind of weird stereotype that is impossible to live up to?
Well, I think that a lot of women try to be this stereotype because that's what they're expected. That's what's expected of them. But basically, you're quiet. You're quiet. You're reserved. You're very conservative. You do what you're told. Only talk when you're spoken to. You know, and that's extreme. That's a little extreme. But where I'm originally from, that's how it is. You know, you wait to speak when you're spoken to by your husband, and you make sure that everything is done for him. And, you know, it's the whole umbrella thing: God, husband, women, children, you know, so.
It was down on the list.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just thinking of like the Southern women who I've had on this show, like Morgan Stringer and Miss Ashley and you. And it's like, that's not quiet.
Yeah. No, we are
but
not.
That's good, and that's it can't be like a universal, but it's the experience. It's such a weird, like, women are expected to be very religious and kind of subservient, but they're supposed to be really, like, they can go to a tailgate for a college football game and like drink their body weight and have no problem. There's almost this duality of things. Like they're supposed to be like really sexual, but not till after they get married, kind of, sort of.
Right.
You know, there's this expectation that nobody lives up to, but it's what is kind of the stereotype. And then on the guy side, it's like it'd be super masculine and dominant and hunt and wear a lot of camo. And I don't know if Brian has any camo. You might want to step up on that.
No, none.
Even oddly, this year, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, which I think everybody binge watched this weekend because we needed it. Even they're wearing like camo and handing out to people. It's crazy. It's a thing. So, you know, you might want to add some camo to look. Maybe for Saturday.
I'll get him some camo pants. What is it? What show is it?
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy? Well, actually, it's just Queer Eye now because it used to be Straight Guy, but it's on Netflix. And the third season came out last weekend, and it's really good.
I've never seen that. I've never even seen it on the thing. Well, I also only watch horror movies and crime documentaries, so it's probably why it hadn't popped up.
Well, there's a lot of that on Netflix and every streaming platform whatsoever.
I'm almost done binging Law and Order SVU on Hulu, and I'm going to be really sad, but I'll start it over and watch it all over again.
You know, I had a friend who used to work for that show, and
really,
that was something else. I think Joe Biden was on there, and that was like something that you talked about.
Yeah, he was on there. It was the episode where they were talking about that hookers get raped too, basically.
Thanks,
and he
Joe.
Was sticking up for the hookers because he's like, this is a disgrace. They deserve justice.
Well, if you want any behind the scenes stories, let me know, because a friend who used to work for that TV show, she works for other shows now, but that show's been on for like, how many seasons is that?
20.
And that's 22 episodes. That's not fucking around TV. Like that's a serious, like my wife and I, we just binge watched like the entire Jane the Virgin show, and that's only like 4 seasons, but it's like 89 episodes, and we got through it. But you don't, like, when you binge watch shows, you think like Queer for the Straight Guy, this season's only 8 episodes, so you can watch it in like 4 hours. But
yeah,
a season of SVU is That's like 15 hours probably. That's
Yeah, well, we Brian and I binge watched X-Files a couple years ago, and it took us about a little over a year to finish everything, to finish all of them, because we watched the movies that came out in between seasons too, and then the movie that came after the series. So it was a lot, but it was awesome. It was worth it. Just like SVU, it's worth it. I think season 20 is the last season, though.
Wow.
I think.
I thought they're like The Simpsons. Like, why would I ever stop?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, people just get in and watch it. It's crazy. Yeah, this whole new binging is a new thing. But I mean, I remember my wife was really into Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I never watched it, so we had to get. When we got married, and think about this for your registry, we actually got like 3 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer on our registry because we have all 7 seasons on DVD, which seems old school now. But yeah, it's something else. This whole the way people consume content now. But you're going to be a consumer, and you'll be doing a panel. So for Nashville Nuns, are there like people you're looking forward to seeing, or panels you want to attend this weekend?
Well, I haven't looked at anything, so I don't even know what's going on this weekend. I just agreed to show up.
I'm really looking forward to that podcast panel. I got Zach guy. He knows what he's talking about.
That great moderator they got.
Because we have Jen of Not Another Atheist Podcast, we have Marissa McCool, Inciting Incident, and we have Don Queen of Godless Heathens, which is they're local. They live in Atlanta, so I actually went to. They live far, far away from me, but it's still in Atlanta, like halfway to Chattanooga, and I went there and did a live podcast with them, which was kind of cool because usually I'm talking to someone over a camera, and this time we were in the same room.
Yeah, that's fun.
The only downside is they do these like atheists at the pub events, but it's like on the other side of town, and it always starts at like 5 o'clock on a Friday. I'm like, come on, guys. So they're trying to do more events that are like on weekends I can actually visit because it is good. Now, do you and Brian, do you go to any? I mean, obviously you did local groups heading into Secular Saturday, but you still do that? Like Chattanooga kind of groups?
Yeah, well, we have one group that we actually really enjoy the events called Chattanooga Free Thought Association. So it's kind of more of a secular than strictly atheist. But they actually have a chili cook-off going on Sunday, the day after Nanocon. So our butts will be there with some chili to win a prize with Brian's chili.
Is there a special recipe, or you don't want to give it away?
I don't know what it is. All I know is he cuts up a bunch of shit, puts it in the crock pot, and cooks it for 3 hours.
Oh, no, it's more than that.
It's more than that. Excuse me.
It's more than that. That's right. Chili is.
It's good though. It's really good. I'm
willing to sell my recipe.
Sell it for $300. We need to pay rent. But yeah, they have a bunch of events that they do throughout the year. Like during Easter, they do a dinosaur egg hunt for the kids. That's cool. And yeah, they do a lot of dinners, like just get together type stuff. But it's really fun. There's a lot of people in that group, and more than half of them usually show up to these events. So it's really fun.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I recently went to an Atlanta Free Thought Society meeting, and Mandisa Thomas, who will be talking at Nanocon, was there. I'm actually wearing Genie Drink, Black Non-Believers t-shirt.
Hey, I'm going to wear mine Saturday.
She was at there, and usually when you go to like an Atlanta Free Thought or secular or atheist kind of group, it's very old, white, and male. So
really?
It was nice for Mandisa to show up because it was a much more mixed group than usual. Because it was like Black Non-Believer people, local group people. And I think I might have some of them on soon. I wonder if any of them are coming up, because they did actually promote Nanocon, so I was glad that they knew about it. Because I'm like, there aren't that many conferences. I wonder, do you get that feeling like that people aren't as enthusiastic about going to conferences anymore? Because obviously it's a lot of work. Like
Mhm.
I know, I've known the Reason Con people. I know secular, your Secular Saturday and Nanocon. I know I don't even get barely my toe dipped in there, and I go, it's a lot of fucking work to do a conference. But you think, is there that as much enthusiasm for people to like attend these? Like the people who are like at your local secular group, do you think they're going to Nanocon? They should, because you're talking.
Yeah, I know. Hello. Well, we knew a couple people that went the first time and the only time that we went, but that was pretty much it. The only people that we knew from here. It's kind of sad, but then again, we have noticed that within the free thought group and people who, the majority of people who are not believers and don't have, I don't want to say they don't have the support system, like those who, attend a church or whatever. But they seem, because we're there now, more lower class top deal. And it's just hard to go to conferences. I mean, ReasonCon was funny word to use, but us being able to go to ReasonCon was a miracle, because we would not have been able to afford that without the help that we did get. So it's really hard to be able to go to conferences like this, even if you want to, just because of the class that a lot of us fall in, because we don't have this huge, oh, well, we're going to go on a mission trip, so everybody's going to donate and all the tithe is going to go to sponsor me to go to Africa. So it's nothing like that. It kind of sucks because it should be. Conferences should be mandatory. Yeah. We should get badges.
Well, yeah. I thought of it this way. Like, they just announced, like, before the show tonight that I think American Atheist is actually sponsoring Nanocon. So there is no charge for a ticket. Now, there is a difference. I mean, like, ReasonCon was like, I think $125 for like a VIP, and then just like $75
which
to
isn't
go.
Bad. Which is not bad at all.
Because American Atheist, I know, is not cheap, even though it's in Cincinnati. It's pretty close, and I know a lot of people who live there. It's like, I would really like to go, but I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
But even like Nanocon, like the fact that it's 2 days, like it used to be, like first year I think it was free, and then it was like $20, and I didn't really care about paying for a ticket because I'm definitely middle class and I can afford it. And I do a podcast and I make a few bucks doing it, so I can pull it off, and I want to support things like this. Mm-hmm. Like anything that's like atheist and secular. I don't care where you think the culture's going. Look at our government right now. They're like Project Blitz. We love you. So what, it's like everything that has to do with Christianity and evangelical is like winning right now.
Yeah.
So anything that is a kind of a secular event, I want to support, especially in the South. Like when I started listening to podcasts, it was like listening to No Religion Required, because to listen to an atheist podcast where people had a Southern accent, it was just something else, because it's extra, it's tougher down here. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody knows the story about my dad. So, stuff like that happens all the time, where, your own family members will completely turn their back on you and act like they don't even know who you are because of some belief system that shouldn't even matter, but nobody sees it that way, especially down here.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know. I'm going to be hanging out with my parents who are Catholic, and it's we might have to have some discussions this weekend.
Yeah,
but they're doing the thing is, it's weird. Like, I want to talk to them about like the whole child raping and the whole like cover up aspect, But they're like doing all this stuff like feeding the homeless and helping people out. They're doing good things, but they're also supporting a group that's taking advantage of people. And it's like, how do you do this? But that's a question I have to ask. That's up to me. So we'll see how that goes. Because it was weird when I told them, like, after the first ReasonCon, I called my mom and told her I was an atheist. She was like, okay. And then when I told them I was going to an atheist conference, it seemed like they were a little more like, whoa, wait a second. Are you saying bad stuff about us? I'm like, maybe.
Not you personally, but
I mean, you have to accept it. Like, you join the atheist community and you think, oh, we're all great. We all get along. And like, actually, we don't all get along. And sometimes you have to call out people you agree with 95% of the time. And it happens. And I'm intrigued to see what people are going to say this weekend. Because we just had a mass shooting. And there's a serious rift in the atheist community between two groups, and I'm not quite sure how they all fit in, like the attacking Islam versus being supportive of Muslim people, which, you know, being supportive of people seems to be a good thing, but it's tough because it's really hard to separate the person and their belief.
Yeah.
And that's just a hard thing to do, but I know there are a lot of people out there, I don't know, it became like a cultural war thing. You know, it's funny. Somebody in the chat rooms, what's the stream about? Stream about how Lexi's awesome. So admit she's awesome.
Yep. That's all.
That's all.
That's it. That's all you need to know. Podcast over.
Well, I totally forgot. For a while, I was asking people if they'd tell a joke, and that put some people on the spot, and some people had some really good kind of dad or mom jokes. What is like a talent or a skill or something you're into that is like maybe nothing to do with being secular or atheist, like just something you're really into that you share with people?
I'm really good at being emotional. No, I'm just kidding.
Really
what
good?
am I good at? Modeling? Not really. I don't know.
She is.
Well, you've heard me sing.
Okay, so
there's that.
Would you do a podcast reviewing every episode of SVU?
Yes, I would.
Do you have the favorite?
It would be.
episode?
It'd be like 400 episodes. Yes, I do actually. My favorite episode is in season 17. And it is about this little girl that calls in to the precinct. And they're trying to keep her on the phone because she's saying that she doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know, like, who's got her and everything. And she, like, snatched his cell phone off this guy who's keeping her there. And they have her on the phone for 2 days until the phone finally dies. And they were lucky enough to find out where she is because she described the room, and they actually looked on one of the dark web websites that they had been tracking and found that same room. And so they traced back where the room came from. And then right before she died, because he buried her alive, they found her, and it was intense.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. None of that probably made any sense, but it made sense in my mind because it's my favorite.
What made you decide to start watching the show from the beginning? Like, is it intimidating to think, oh gosh, I'm going to watch however many episodes? Or are you just saying, because you didn't watch it when it came out live, because how old were you when the show first started?
When did it start?
You're young.
95? 96? I don't know. I was born in 95, so no. But I actually, when I was younger, when my grandmother was still alive, when we went over to her house, she would have USA on, the channel USA, and that would come on, and then the Reba show would come on, and we would watch them together. And so I have been watching SVU since I was like 7. And then I found it on Hulu and saw that all the seasons were on there. So I just started watching them because I loved it.
Yeah, there's this, like, they still do their, like, rerun shows, but I remember when I was in college and they were doing, like, the reruns for The Simpsons, and we would record them on VHS tapes. By the way, I think when I was old enough to drink, you were still not alive, so we'll just say that and be quiet after that. We'll just let that go. Let that go quietly to its own death. So is there anything else you wanted to cover or talk about you and by being on a panel on this weekend and all that?
I really hope that I can get my nerves to go away because there's going to be a lot of people. If it's, even if it's like 5 or 6 people, that's still a lot of people. And I haven't been out of the house in 2 months, and people make me nervous anyway. So there's that. I don't know why I agreed to this, but here we go. We're just going to go for it.
I started questioning everything.
I did. I just started questioning my entire life.
I appreciate that you're willing to challenge yourself. I think that's why I do the show every week. So I'm like, what am I doing? And then you do it, and you're like, oh, this is fun. So it's great. And if you're, up for that, we'll go for the hug before the show to make sure you're feeling good. Because I'll be there in the audience. I'll be there supporting. Because
just sneak me a beer.
That's what I used to do that with Susie, so yeah, why not? I know I'm going to be bringing up some Atlanta beers, but there's a good supply in Nashville, I hear, so I probably get some as well. The advantage is 2 things. Right now I'm unemployed, and my parents live in Nashville, so I don't have to pay for a hotel, so I'm actually going to be up starting Thursday and just hanging out with as many people as I can. So if there's is there any place, because the blog isn't active yet, where people can find you and say hello?
Yeah, Facebook. My Facebook.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, I'll include the link for that. Well, thank you for being on, Lexi, and thank you for being sexy, Brian.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to my rambling.
Just can't help it, right? That's how it goes.
I wake up looking this good.
He woke up like this.
We know.
We know. Yeah.